Breaking news. We have more bad news coming out of California, Los Angeles to be exact. The legendary director, the one of the most amazing directors in American history, Rob Reiner, and his wife have been found dead. They were allegedly stabbed to death. The reports are very general. They're saying two people that they found, but Billy Crystal and Larry David showed up, and they both had tears in their eyes earlier when they arrived at the crime scene. So as of now, it is confirmed that it is Rob Reiner and his wife. I don't know if you guys remember that he was. I mean, some of his greatest movies were. Remember Stand by Me. Remember Misery. Remember When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, um, The American President. He was probably the greatest director. He made pretty much all of the 1990s amazing. And unfortunately, these situations, it's typically someone who's close to you. Initially, right now on TMZ, they're saying that they have three kids, Jake, Rami, and Nick. And it's being reported that their son Nick is the suspect who they believe committed the murders against his parents, which is unfortunate. It's common in Hollywood or in these high end situations. You know, when you're a kid and you grow up and you're spoiled or you of means, you develop certain bad habits. You know, they tell you that idle hands are the devil's workshop. You got to keep kids busy. You can't spoil them. And eventually, if you ever say no or if you ever cut them off, well, then you end up like the Menendez brothers' parents or worse. I mean, this is a very common thing, but I'll go ahead and play the local news. Just a lot of bad news coming out of LA, which is unfortunate.
Breaking news tonight out of Brentwood, where two people were found dead at the home of award-winning actor and director Rob Reiner. Good evening to you. I'm Susan Hirasuna. Authorities say they were found around 3:43 this afternoon at the Chadbourne Avenue home. LAFD says the victims are a 78-year-old man and a 68-year-old woman. Those are the same ages as Reiner and his wife. Fox 7's Rachel Aragon is live near the scene in Brentwood with breaking details for us. Rachel.
Yes, Susan, again, police confirming two people found dead inside this Brentwood home. I'm going to step back for you so you can see just what we're looking at here. About a block away, this is off of South Chadbourne Avenue near Hanover Street. As you mentioned, Susan, the call initially coming in for police around 3:30 or so this afternoon. We know that, again, two people found dead inside, the ages and the 78-year-old man and a 68-year-old woman. So far, LAPD not confirming the identity of those two people found dead inside. But as you just stressed, the home is owned by famous actor and director Rob Reiner. Reiner, of course, well known for many TV and film credits, things like Wolf of Wall Street, as well as All in the Family. We're still learning more information here in Brentwood. But
I forgot he is the director of Wolf of Wall Street, another classic. Do you know how brilliant of a director you are to have a record like Rob Reiner? Do you know how amazing his history is? To lose him in this way is just beyond tragic. I mean, think about it. He's 78. That's usually the age, that's the average age of an American is supposed to expire at 78. So that means he beat car accidents, murder, overdose, accidental prescription. He beat medical malpractice. He survived everything. 80 years, almost 80 years old, 78, to be killed by your son. I mean, he survived Rob Reiner, he outlived a lot of the stars in his movies. As a director, he is a genius. The Wolf of Wall Street, I was just watching it 2 days ago. I forgot Reiner was the director. But I remember some of, like I said, one of my favorites was Stand By Me. And I remember, and then Misery. Do you remember how crazy that movie was? I mean, these are just classics all the way the 80s and the 90s. A brilliant, brilliant man. And to lose him like this is just insane. I mean, again, life is precious. You never know what's going to happen next. Enjoy every day. Do the best you can. But unfortunately, some things maybe you couldn't avoid, and you can't avoid your own children. If it turns out that this is his son, which is what they're reporting, then I mean, how do you avoid that? You're kind of stuck with your family. You're stuck with your kids. And, if a kid has a mental issue, or they're just spoiled, if you grow up rich, you don't work, you don't have anything to do, start doing drugs, and then you're in and out of rehab. I mean, it's the same story for most celebrity children. Most of them are pretty screwed up. I mean, living in LA, I remember I met, Will Smith's son, and I'm like, these people are completely abnormal. They're all trans, they're going through identity crisis. They just have nothing to live for. And it just sucks because a lot of us live for money. You work to earn. But when you already have and you don't really have to work, well, then what are you going to do constructive? Unless money's driving you to make more money and you want to be successful, then yeah. But if you think that you're already successful because your parents are successful, so you think because you're given a certain amount of money, you didn't earn it, someone gave it to you, then that means that you're successful, and it doesn't. You have to build yourself, especially if your child is a male. You have to put them to work. They can't just sit around and leech off of you forever, and it's unfortunate. I come from a fairly well-to-do family, and I could have been a leech. I could have just been a bum. I could have just gave up and just lived off my parents and lived off my I decided to make more of myself. I wanted to be more. Also, I don't like anyone telling me what to do or how to live. I kind of wanted to make my own way. I even left home early. I just didn't want to follow rules. I wanted to do my own thing. And but you got to have that in you. You got to have a little bit of an edge to you. Everything in life can't be too easy for your son. For your daughter, you can just pave the way. And hopefully some other man's going to come along and pave the way for her. That's how it typically goes historically. But for men, that's the wrong strategy, unfortunately. That's not how you make a man. Iron sharpens iron. You males and boys, we have to go through hard times. You have to know pain and struggle. Your parents make it too easy for you, then they're pretty much they're pretty much closing the casket on you. You're not going to do anything if you don't have to, unfortunately.
Again, we want to know whether or not, of course, these deaths were suspicious. Back here live at the scene, though, you can see there's still plenty of people here.
I would call being stabbed to death two separate people. I would call that a little bit more than suspicious. This isn't slip and falls.
You're out and this taped off, but again, we are still learning more information about the nature of these deaths, and of course, we'll keep you posted throughout the evening.
Rachel, do you know much about his children? Is there some suggestion that one of his children might be involved in this?
We're still learning more information regarding that. We do see, though, Susan, plenty of neighbors outside. A lot of people, as we were driving by here, though, kind of wondering what's going on because, as we know, we have Skyfox up here and many other helicopters. Clearly, there's people and neighbors concerned about what is happening here in an otherwise quiet neighborhood, quiet area, which is Brentwood. But so far, no information regarding his children.
That was a very long answer to a simple question. You should have just fucking said no. Sorry, that's a little frustrating. Excuse me, this is what TMZ is reporting right now.
Continue to follow breaking news. TMZ now reporting that Hollywood producer and director Rob Reiner and his wife have been found dead inside their Los Angeles home. You are looking live at what is an active crime scene tonight. Rob Reiner, of course, known for his role in television in All in the Family as Michael Stivic, and perhaps better known for his distinguished career as a film director. This is Spinal Tap, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, just to name a few. TMZ reporting they suffered lacerations from what appear to be knife wounds. The Associated Press confirming tonight the LA Fire Department responded to a request for medical aid. It was during that call that they discovered the bodies of a 78-year-old man and 68-year-old woman. We will continue.
I wonder if the son is who called, or if Reiner or his wife might have still been alive and they called for themselves and the son took off. We're not sure. I mean, the only person that's going to probably know that's still alive is the son. Stabbing somebody is very intimate. You have to get close to the person. You have to touch them. It's not like shooting someone or using a drone to bomb someone. I mean, that's something that's up close and personal. And I mean, the amount of anger and hate. And of course, they're going to paint this as the person saw red and they had a mental break. They don't remember anything. It was an accident. And then they're going to claim that they were abused by their parents because he said no to him once, or he cut off his allowance because he got tired of putting him in rehab. Now, I looked up this son, Nick. He doesn't have a criminal record or anything, but if you have a father like this, I mean, you're going to be able to get away with anything. And typically they can keep these kind of issues contained where people won't know, and they kind of keep their kids sheltered away. But again, you don't work. You're just wandering around through life. And like I said, I grew up around some, I have other friends of mine that, come from good, well-to-do families. And the ones who didn't have to work for anything, they developed really, really bad habits. And even when they had kids, their parents end up taking care of the kids because your son could never grow up. It takes responsibilities to mold a man, and when if your parents are well off and they're just giving you money and you kind of just have to just go live in this other house and just don't make any waves, but no one's expecting anything of you, you become a burden, and then you feel pointless in life. You have no goals. You have no ambition. There's nothing for you to ascertain. You can just have whatever you want by just asking for it. And that's not how you build good character. And it's unfortunate, these kids sometimes they will turn on their parents. You see this happen a lot. This is not uncommon. This is very common. You're raising your worst enemy. It's kind of, you see a lot of that in America. There's a lot of people here in the United States. And I would look at the country as the well-to-do parent. And then you got the spoiled kids who resent the parents and hate the parent, but they won't move out of the parent's house. And then here they are actively trying to kill their parents. We see a lot of that going on in the country right now. This is a microcosm, but it's kind of the same thing with the whole the well-to-do parent, spoiled child, that dynamic. You kind of see it play out in other aspects as well. So that was just my own personal correlation. If you don't mind hitting like on the video or subscribing, share it with your friends. This is terrible, terrible news. I do want to go over some more of his greatest hits if you guys don't mind. Let's see here. Alex and Emma. I don't think I saw that one. North, I do remember that one. Wow, this man has been around for a long time. Rumor has it, he was from this golden age of cinema where there were no special effects and it was a script and it was between people. When you look at Rob Reiner movies, it has comedy, there's suspense, but it's more people interacting with each other, feel good movies. But then also, but he had a very wide range. I mean, he could go from Rumor Has It to Misery. He can go from A Few Good Men to Stand By Me. I mean, these were incredible, incredible movies. The Story of Us with Bruce Willis. I did not know Rob Reiner was the director here. And So It Goes. Wow. The Bucket List. Man, this is, he had actually, and, he named one of his sons Jack, and he cast Jack Nicholas in, a lot of his movies. Flipped. The Magic of Belle Isle, Morgan Freeman. Shock and Awe. Look at this, Woody Harrelson. Wow. Being Charlie, that was a big one too. LBJ, that was also an electrifying movie. Ghosts of Mississippi was a huge hit, especially back in the 90s when, people want to bring up all the race stuff about the South and all that So this was a huge movie, Ghosts of Mississippi. Wow. Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues. So I guess I never seen this movie, but I guess there was a band called Spinal Tap that they came back together, and I guess I don't know if it was like a movie or a documentary, but it must have been interesting. Wow. Rob Reiner was the director of A Few Good Men. You Can't Handle the Truth. This is one of Jack Nicholson's greatest also. So yeah, I can see why he named one of his sons Jack. Oh man, this is going to be heartbreaking for Jack to hear too. You know, Jack Nicholson, he's still alive. This is wow. Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men, 1992. And here Tom Cruise is in 2025, still doing his own stunts, jumping out of submarines and fighting mermen and all kinds of stuff. This is crazy. The American President. I remember this was a good movie. It was about, I believe, Michael Douglas. I believe he was president, but he was single or he was looking for a wife. And I mean, what made these movies brilliant is that there was so much dialogue, talking, where people would speak to each other and they had their engagement. It wasn't just tons of graphics and explosions and CGI everywhere to distract you. It was tons of content and context. That's what was great about those Rob Reiner films. Albert Brooks, Defending My Life. Oh yeah, this is like another, look at Rob. He's just sitting there talking to him at a table. Man, and this was on HBO. I do remember seeing this documentary. This is horrible. Stand By Me. Look how young everyone is. Wow. And that's Jerry O'Connell right there. And, you know, I used to be a really big Jerry O'Connell fan when he was on the TV show Sliders. I think that's probably one of my favorite shows. And I believe they could have done way more with it. I mean, because think about it. They slide to a different universe in a wormhole every episode. So they can, I mean, the show can go on indefinitely. I mean, because anything goes. You can come up with any kind of environment. I mean, that show could have went to the moon. I mean, they should do a reboot. If they're going to come out with a reboot show, just don't make it woke. No excessive gays or excessive amount of blacks. Just keep it focused on the sci-fi aspect. No woke BS. No men kissing each other. One of the characters doesn't have to be a non-binary gay Eskimo or something ridiculous. Just focus on the content and the context. You don't need all the extra stuff. This was huge. 1986. Jesus. So this man has been a brilliant superstar director since before I was born. Misery. Remember, she was beating his feet. She beat his feet with a hammer. Oh man. She was basically like a super fan, a fanatic, and she kidnaps. I believe he was an author. I mean, I cannot believe Reiner was behind all of these movies. This is amazing. And When Harry Met Sally. I mean, I remember these titles. I mean, this is unbelievable. I mean, these were some of the most wildly successful movies, and he made them back to back to back. 86, 87, 88, 89. And we're in 2025 now. We're deep in the future. The Sure Thing, 1985. Is that John Cusack? Jesus, he has like a Shih Tzu on his head, but I mean, this was probably, I remember the title. I don't know if I remember the movie, but I definitely know John Cusack, of course. The Princess Bride. This is a classic. I'm sorry, I taped this in front of a live studio audience. And today my studio audience is my dog, my English bulldog, Mr. Bacon. And he decides that he wants to come in here and go to sleep, and he snores. So I don't know if the mic is picking that up or not. I'm sorry if it is. I try to wake him up, but he just had dinner, so I don't know. All right, let's go down. And then Spinal Tap. Oh yeah, these guys were young in this one, and then they were old in the part 2. So he made the Spinal Tap in '84, and then they did I guess a reboot of it. Oh wow, they look way different. Wow, this is a beyond tragic. This is beyond a tragedy.
Continue to stay on top of this story for you. We will give you updates even after we leave the air tonight on our website, fox32chicago.com.
Let me see if there's any
Continue to follow breaking news.
Updated footage. I mean, really, it's nighttime. You're not going to be able to see too much. Okay, so yeah, there are some. Yeah, this is terrible news. Terrible.
Beloved TV and film icon Rob Reiner and his wife Michele dead at 78 and 68 per TMZ. There was a major police presence at their LA home on Sunday, but few details are available to the public at this time. We do know the LAPD is investigating as a murder, and TMZ reports Rob and Michele appeared to be killed by a knife.
You are celebrating head to toe tonight.
Well, you know, shameless promotion. That's what we've got here.
E.T. was with the actor turned director just months ago as he celebrated revisiting Spinal Tap 41 years later.
41 years later, the band is back together. I mean, your initial reaction when you guys were like, let's do this.
So this is an interview from just last year. So at 77, he's walking on his own. He appears to be very healthy. He's coherent, no dementia. This guy was doing very, very well. I mean, with the amount of work in his catalog, I mean, you would think he would be depleted, but look at him. Vibrant, healthy, and full of life. Like, this is only a year ago. Wow.
Well, at first we said, let's not do this because we had, set a pretty high bar. It's in the National Film Registry from the Library of Congress. This goes to 11 is in the Oxford English Dictionary. We said, maybe we don't touch it. But then we came up with an idea.
Look at him. He's moving like a guy in his 50s. Just full of life, vibrant, not sickly, falling apart like some people. This guy was doing very, very well. And then his own son
had an idea of how to do this, and we wouldn't do it unless we knew this could stand alone. Even if you haven't seen the first film, you can dig this one too.
Like I said, this is something that is common. I mean, for your son to be in your father's shadow, the way it works is the father always wants his son to be better than him. That's the only man on earth that a man ever wants to be better than him is his son. But as a son, if you can't live up to your father and you're always in your father's shadow and you're always being compared to your father, who's like this amazing, like just out of this universe person, that can be frustrating for a man, and it can cause issues. People have those types of insecurities and inferiority complexes plague men. We don't talk about it a lot, but for a lot of men, that is a huge problem. And that type of relationship will generate resentment and the jealousy and envy, even though you should, he loves you, but you're jealous of your history and then sometimes if your dad takes care of you or he helps you, people resent you once you help them because they can never say that they were self-made. People always say, yeah, but you're just a daddy's boy. It wasn't for your dad. If it wasn't for your dad. So you gotta kind of like get away from that and be your own person if you can, but it can get frustrating just being in somebody's shadow. I mean, this guy is amazing. I don't know how his son could have ever surpassed him unless he became like a hell of an actor like Tom Cruise or something. Then maybe, he could have, he could, but he couldn't. I mean, it would take a lot to be as good as your father in this situation. So, I mean, wow.
Stick with ET for more updates as this case unfolds.
For those that are coming through, I guess we could watch a little bit of that interaction and you guys can tell me what you think in the comments, okay?
Work do you do?
That could be where it lies. I don't like raking,
Well, there you go. You got them negatives going in.
What did you think? What was the toughest for you? What do you think, Nick?
It wasn't very tough. I mean, it was pretty nice experience for me. I don't really think it was like tough at all.
Really?
I mean, of course it was a little bit, but
I mean, we did get into fights over things, but ultimately it forced us to make the film better. I mean, we get into issues, and I would see, he would. The whole process for me, I can just speak for myself. It did make me understand him a lot more, and I think it made me a better father. Hopefully, it did. I don't know, but I think that, and you'll see it in the film. What happens is.
So I believe that's his son, Nick, sitting next to him. And, as Rob is bleeding his heart out and saying that, hopefully being in this film made him a better man, a better father. You see his son's eyes next to him just dead. No expression, no emotion. He doesn't say, "Dear Dad," he doesn't reassure his father. He's just sitting there, looking spaced out, Apparently, they said he was a drug addict and he was homeless at one time and in rehab. That's pretty much the story for probably like 80-90% of Hollywood children. And then you got to think about it. Some people, they hate their parents because they're not there a lot when they're kids. But if you look at, okay, so Nick appears to be he's probably in his 40s. So that means he was born in the 80s and grew up in the 90s. So that means his dad was at work like 100% of the time. So he probably couldn't be there, and he wasn't there. And, kids get mad about that. I remember at one point in time, I felt, some resentment towards my dad because he was always busy. But then you realize when you grow up is that, yeah, I have to work. I can't just sit around with my kids all day. I would love to, but I have things to do. I have a life, and my job is to provide for you. So I can't be under you all the time. I have to work. And that's why you got to pick a good woman that will not hold that against you, and they understand the balance, and that's the trade-off in a relationship. But listening to him pour his heart out, and then his son just sit there expressionless, that's kind of telling that there are some deeper issues.
Your kid, if your kid is going through rough times, the parent your main job is to keep your child safe. So I would do.
Oh man, this just feels so bad to see this now.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. It's just like I was saying earlier, over parenting. You can't protect your children from the world. You can't shield your male son. You can't shield him from life, because eventually he's going to come in contact with the real world and with real life, and he's not going to know how to handle himself. So you can't do that. And it's so prophetic that he's talking like this. And now they're saying this is the guy that killed him, his own dad. I mean, his own son. I mean, this is terrible.
9 years ago, this interview happened. Nick was a rug addict, and he was homeless and rehab many times. That is what the movie was about. Thank you, Tracy. He struggled with substances, but that doesn't necessarily, I guess we have to find out more information, right? I truly hope that. I'm looking to see if he's in protective custody. You know what? This is giving Phil Hartman as well. Oh no. It's just so sad to see it this way. Trying to work things together and then
do anything. I felt at a loss, so I would do anything that, as we say in the film, anybody with a desk and a diploma, I would listen to them. And the whole idea of tough love, and you have to be a certain way. And it's not my nature. It's not the way I am.
How did I know? It's not his nature, and he doesn't understand tough love. And everyone was telling him, while Nick was a child, you cannot, in a roundabout way, they're all telling him this: stop spoiling him. You're going to make him weak. You have to show him tough love, because in the future, he's going to be a problem. He's not going to know how to handle reality in the real world, and he's going to break down. That's where the substance abuse comes in, and he's not being constructive. You're spoiling him. You can't give your kid everything. You have to make them work. That's a big part of being a man, is work, having something constructive to do. Even if you got to take him to work and have him be a key grip on a movie set, and make them do the lighting or something, you have to put them to work. I remember when I was a kid, I was working for my family business. 14 years old, I had responsibilities. I was working. 13, 14, when I wasn't playing sports, I was working for my family, and then then I wanted to work more. So I got another job working for a welder down the street. And I'm actually, figuring out how to do things in the real world, didn't have to, but I wanted to, because when you're working with your parents then they have conditions, they want you to work for them, but also do this, that, and the third. And sometimes it's a little too much. I'm like, I don't want to do all that. I want to do something else. But you can't just give your kids everything and make them work for nothing, because it will make them weak. And this isn't a world for weak men. And that could be the reason he could blame his father for all of his issues. And his father right here is admitting that being the tough dad and being hard on him was not in his nature. And I mean, maybe Nick had a point, maybe that is where the source of a lot of his problems, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Built, but I went and did that, and I think that, at the end of the day, I know my child better than an expert does. And I probably should have trusted my own instinct.
All right, I have some information. So what we know so far from the LA Times, which I do have a subscription for. Here we go. So apparently from the LA Times, law enforcement sources told the Los Angeles Times and People that their son, Nick Reiner, was being questioned by police. That's what we know so far, that he was being questioned by police. Now, let me see if I can.
Well, then that means that he must have been there. So it's not like they just slipped and fell on the knife drawer. If they're questioned by the police, then he was there. And he's probably the suspect. He's probably already in custody, but because, it's such a high profile case, they don't want to alert everyone and just disparage the family name. That's kind of a big thing in Hollywood as well. You kind of want to keep these things under wrap. You don't want anybody trying to sue you later, but yeah.
Get into the article real quick while we find out more information. He was being questioned by the police.
No, you're absolutely right. Being a drug addict isn't a direct reflection of your parents, not all the time. But if you're 12 years old and you have enough money, if you could afford to buy drugs, that's probably from poor parenting. Because a 12-year-old shouldn't have access to money. Where are they getting money from? Again, when you have an overabundance of things, especially as a male, idle hands are the devil's workshop. You didn't work for it, so if someone's giving you money, you have access. You can go get high and buy rugs. That's a big problem. And she says rugs because she's probably also doing videos for TikTok and people who are on TikTok, because it's basically a Chinese communist model where their controls means you have to speak a weird type of English so that your page doesn't get kicked off. So they say rugs and they say smexual, small. I mean, they have all these weird way of saying things. So it's not that she's, on the spectrum. She's just trying to make content that is TikTok friendly. Just FYI.
See. So Rob Reiner, wife, confirmed dead in homicide at Brentwood home. Okay, police interview family member. So Rob Reiner, this was around 8:32 p.m. 8:32 p.m. Let's see if I can show you all the article, guys. 8:32 p.m. It is with profound sorrow that we announce the tragic passing of Rob and Michele. And this was a statement that the family made. Los Angeles police were investigating the deaths as homicide after the bodies of Reiner, 78, and Michele were found in their home. Now, I'm looking to see where exactly. Law enforcement told the Times that a family member was being interviewed in connection with the deaths. So they're interviewing somebody, okay?
They're interviewing Nick. That's what they said.
The sources were not authorized to speak publicly about ongoing investigations confirm There's no sign of forced entry into the home. So Margaret Stewart, who is the LAPD or Los Angeles Fire Department spokesperson, said that a department was called to the residence. All right. So Reiner has had a long career, many years. Now let me go back a little bit or down a little bit just so I get to the point where they talk about it. He's a co-founder with the American Foundation of Equal Rights. A little bit about Reiner. And let's see. Hold up, y'all.
Wait a minute. American Coalition for Equal Rights. That equals, oh my God. He's a liberal. He's a Democrat. Well, now this makes all the sense in the world. You can't raise a liberal man because then you're just raising a woman in a man's body. Confused. No, they're not going to have any values or more. Yeah, that's bad. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was a raging liberal. And yeah, that definitely affected his son. Definitely. But you know what? It's so many liberals in Hollywood. No wonder all their kids are gay or trans or in rehab. It's, you can't raise this whole liberalism as a lifestyle. It doesn't work. It's like trying to reinvent the wheel, or like on Idiocracy, trying to all of a sudden become, because this whole liberal lifestyle is only about 20, 30 years old. Throughout human history, we all lived pretty conservative. But now we're trying to live human life in a different way than we've always lived. And the results are the equivalent of trying to water your grass with Gatorade. It's a bad idea. And you're seeing the results play out. I mean, I hate to use this as an example, but it is a fair example.
By Sunday evening, law enforcement had sworn the Reiners' estate, though an eerie quiet hung over the Chadbourne Avenue, which has been sealed from the public with yellow tape and crime scene tape. Police cars were stationed at either ends where the Reiner residence located, and there was a helicopter there, and I think there's been a lot of footage out there. So officers spoke to a young man. Listen to this. Officers spoke to a young man off the sealed off area who left the scene around 7:30 p.m. in a white Tesla and declined to speak to media. They were found around 3:30, 3:38, p.m. So Councilman Tracy Park, whose West District includes Brentwood, said in a statement the LAPD has increased patrol in the neighborhood out of abundance of caution. So they continue to wait for more updates. We're in close contact with the LAPD as the homicide unit continues. Okay, so
this doesn't appear to have any public safety. This isn't a public safety thing. There's no shooter out here just hunting people down and just stabbing them up and just going house to house. This was there's no forced entry, so that means he was let in or he had a key. So it was a relative. It was someone close to them. It's more than likely it's what's being reported, which is the son. It just happened today, so no one wants to jump the gun and be wrong, but let's just be honest. That's how these situations goes. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, we have the internet. If you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times. This situation has happened. You can go back. There's other stories just like it. I mean, and they always play out the same way. We're not going to find out it was the butler or the chef, It's your troubled kid. You try to raise them liberal, spoil them, confuse them, and then he just snaps one day. He's not the first. Unfortunately, he won't be the last.
That is what we have so far. Now, hold up. I found another source. One news snippet mentioned that remaining 3 children in the home who were unharmed were taken. Okay, this is a whole different thing. Hold up. That's not even it. That's totally not it. Okay, just wanted to confirm the sources. So put one in the chat if you guys want to continue watching the interview while we wait for more.
All right, breaking news. Major situation going on in California, folks.
Wow, look at his estate. I mean, that is a beautiful property, even at nighttime. I mean, look at it. It's probably 5 acres lit up with all white lights, a beautiful property. for an extremely wealthy, successful man too. I mean, he deserves it. You know, I hate to say I'm right, but I'm sure I'm right about this as well. I wish I had better news for you guys. Do me a favor, if you can. I'm on YouTube, The Single Boyfriend or Right Wing Rico. Just give me a like, put me in the algorithm. That way I can spread more content around and talk to more people. I do tons of content. I make a lot of episodes. I do different shows about a variety of different things. So please tune in when you can. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry. I wish I had better news for you about what happened tonight, but rest in peace to Rob Reiner and his wife. And just his body of work is just so, it's basically, it was American history. His movies is what made America. Stand By Me. These are movies that a lot of us were raised on. These movies, they taught you how to be a young adult, and taught you learn a lot from watching these types of movies, how to speak to people. It's just amazing. It's a terrible loss, and it's tragic. It's amazing how many just award-winning movies he directed. This is incredible, but it's just terror. It's a tragedy, all nonetheless. And again, it's really, you try to be a good parent, and no one's perfect, and things backfire, things don't go the way you want them to. I just wished I had better news. It's horrible to hear. Like and subscribe, share the video. I'll be back on with another topic in about 20 minutes. Remember, America first, America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.